Well, the last couple days I've been trying to overcome little problems that I've had. The new cooling fan, there isn't a lot of space to put a bolt through there, so you have to use studs, or at least I have to use studs, which I ended up getting carriage bolts and cutting the heads off of them, and then I put a knurl into the threads so that these lock into place. I also put some red Loctite and a little sealant on them to just hold them in place. But it gives me enough thread to put a nut on and lock my fan clutch down to my pulley. And that was the big hurdle to overcome. If I need to bring these out, I can a little bit. I have full contact in the hub of the water pump currently, and I can pull them out a thread or two if I need to, but altogether I think we're in good shape. So I got some stainless steel carriage bolts, cut off the heads, made them work. That should give us what we need to hold our fan on. Alright, so I'm making some headway. There's actually a hole right there that I'm going to be opening up to do my pass-through for my harness, and then I'll bury all my extra harness bits under the dash. I was looking, and I got to figure out what I did with my fuel pressure sensor and fuel pressure mounting bung. I must have set it aside somewhere, and I got to figure out where that went. I went ahead and I ordered a 1/2" 20 to 6AN adapter for my fuel pump outlet. I'm going to replace my fuel line. I finally figured out a hose for I think it was a 79 Chrysler Cordoba. Should be the big fat line for up here. That should be here in a couple days. So I'm really whittling away at a bunch of little problems that I've been coming across and need to address. But I'm getting close to being able to do quite a bit. I do have a minor issue. Since my coolant temp sensor occupies that spot, I'm going to have to drill out this one or that one to accept a heater hose bung. Not too big of a deal, but needs to be done. What else am I running into? Fan fits, looks pretty good. Belt fitment is amazing on those CVF systems. I'm very happy with that pulley system. It looks wonderful. I'm down to building some of my power cables. I'm going to go ahead and put it up in the air, install my starter. I did get a gear reduction starter for this to upgrade from the big honking ones. Plus it'll be easier to service with the headers. So let's see if I can knock out a few little things before I have to head out today. I do have an upper hose ordered for it from a 96 Dakota V8, which I think will give me a decent look and function. So keep after it. I got some parts that came in. I think I finally got my correct starter. I ordered one, but it was the wrong hub pattern, so I ordered a different one. And this one looks to fit a little bit better, so we're going to install it and wire it. I got to run new wiring because I moved my battery into the trunk. So today's going to be starter and wiring install, and then probably weld up my exhaust, put in my fuel tank bung and my fuel return line, and then at that point I should be done with everything I need to do from underneath the car. Then it'll be wiring the ACES system and making my pass-through. I decided to do a high torque starter because they're much smaller than the factory starter that comes in it. They've got better starting torque, so they're going to spin the engine faster. They also fit without pulling the headers loose, which is a nice added bonus. Oh, I think that one fits a lot better. Let's see if we can put bolts in it. So I've tried 2 different Dakota starters on this. You can see right there's a contact point, and with my bolt in my upper, my lower bolt hole won't barely line up. And looking at that, it would appear my starter's contacting this boss right here that sticks out, this shoulder. And if you look on the old engine, it has a much different boss. It doesn't have that shoulder that sticks out. So I think I'm going to shave that boss off the block on that other engine. Yeah, it sticks out way farther than the other engine, so shave that guy back. And then I think both of those starters will probably work. It's a shame I had to buy a second starter before I realized what was going on, but you have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, I suppose. Understand what's really going wrong with it. You wouldn't want to elongate the hole in the starter because then the teeth aren't going to mesh correctly. Alright, let's see if the starter fits now. Now this is a Magnum engine, newer model. Let's just have some differences in what it does, what it is, what it can be. You can see I shaved that back quite a bit. It's just extra casting flash for that boss. I think I've got enough gone now to fit my starter. Alright, so now I have clearance between that boss and my starter, and both of my bolts to bolt my starter in fit through unmodified starter holes. So that's good. I think we'll be good there. I'm going to go ahead and make my power cable. I'm going to run one power cable for the starter itself over the top of the engine and over my hot block. And then I'm going to make a new start solenoid engage wire that goes from the starter up to my starter relay. And then I'll probably pull the interior apart and make my run from the battery up to my hot block. So let's get after it. This stuff doesn't build itself. Alright, so this is our old from the battery to the starter, and from the starter relay to the starter solenoid. I need the power cable to be about 14 inches longer, so we're going to use this as a template, plus 14 inches, and make a new cable. And I'm going to go ahead and make a new starter wire as well. I suppose I could just cut this out of this, but I'll probably just leave that be and use that on something else. But sometimes finding the right hoses can be a challenge. In this case, the ATK engine and the CVF water pump came with these large 1-inch fittings, and they are really big, and most of the stuff for these is like a 3/4 inch hose. And I ended up finding, of all random things, a Gates 693, which is like a 70s Granada. I don't know, there's probably other applications that use this larger hose, but this looks like it might work. Although it actually bends over this way. It actually needs to bend the other way, so I don't know. It's it can be really frustrating sometimes. But at least the right size, we may be able to get it to flex over and not kink. It's a pretty short run. I don't know. Lots of little things that just don't match up. We did call ATK, they're like, yeah, we don't have any idea what hose that would be. And we called CVF, and they're like, yeah, no, we don't know what hose that would be. So we're going to try this one and see if it works. Maybe there's another one I can hunt down that's got a little different contour to it. It's an interesting debacle. But we'll figure it out. These are the frustrating things that sideline projects, people get frustrated and they can't figure it out and they walk away from it, never get back to it. I don't have that choice. I have to get it done. I am whittling away at my electrical. I've got my starter to my hot block done. I've got my starter relay to start relay. Sorry, start solenoid to starter relay wire done. I've got my alternator to my hot block done. I can go ahead and put my thermostat in. My thermostat came in when this hose showed up. That's a bonus. There has to be a hose that works for this. Any of you Mopar guys out there know which hose fits this? You can see this one really should bend the other way. Cut it down a little. Oh. Once I cut it down, it'll probably be okay, but it's definitely not correct. It would be nice to know what the right hose is for this. Any of you Mopar guys know? Gotta be somebody out there that knows what it is. Some random car that they only made for a couple years. So I decided I want to use a bulkhead connector or bulkhead pass-through to go through my floorboard from my power cable. My main battery cable is going to run down inside under the carpet to the firewall. I'm going to use this to pass it safely through the metal body. Then I can do a short whip up to my battery bus up here. I'm going to drill a hole in the floor. It's not really anything I can do to... I don't think I can film this because I'm going to be upside down on my back in the bottom of the toe board. So I'm going to pull the carpet back, make sure I've got what I think I want to work with, and we'll get this bulkhead connector in. Then we'll run our main line, then our whip, and then from there we'll be moving on to harness installation and drilling that hole, which it already has a hole that somebody used a cutoff wheel to open up. And try and make it into a round hole that I can put our pass-through grommet in. The grommet comes with this kit is a 2-inch grommet. I've picked up a 51 millimeter 2-inch hole saw and some extra pilots for it, because I have a tendency to break the pilots off when I use these hole saws. But I have some carbide bit toothed ones. They work really well. I figured I'd try this Lennox to see if it would work for, you know, all you guys out there trying to do this on your own. You're going to have to pick one of these up. These are like 36 bucks, and the pilots are like $7 a piece. So it hurts when you break those pilots. It's $7 a pop. But so be it. Alright, let's get some drilling done. Well, this is the tedious part, doing this wiring stuff, but it's going to look pretty good when it's all said and done. Yeah. making little bits for this and that. Got my lug, my pass-through mounted in here. So I got to make a short whip from there to there. That'll power this entire hot block, which is what's going to feed all my hots for under hood. Having a little bit of difficulty running the wire underneath the back. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to solve that problem yet. I'm probably going to have to pull the seat back out and this side panel to finally get that, because I've actually got a spot right down here that I can run my loom through, or run as a loom for the power cable, but I have to get it from the trunk up to here. So, and I'm having a hard time feeding it under the, oh, that's locked. I'm having a hard time feeding it under the rear upper floor, so we'll figure that out. I had to walk away from it. My Evil Energy adapters came in the other day. These are the 1/2" 20. It's a 6AN adapters. Push those instead of doing a flare nut out of my fuel pump. I'm going to do my 6AN line fitting, and then that'll come up to my fuel command center. So make my new hose, pull my tank down, put my bung in. That's where we're at next. Try and get this stuff figured out. It's one piece at a time. Trudging on through. Appreciate you guys watching and liking and subscribing. Thanks for coming along for this adventure. I think I'm going to have a pretty good recipe of items when this is all said and done. It should have a really good looking aesthetic. And I'm looking forward to driving this thing. Hopefully I will have this thing running here in the next week or two. It's really close. I'm going to finish up this brake job I'm working on this truck, and then I will be back on this welding up my exhaust system and getting my fuel tank done. So that'll be the next installment. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Click like, subscribe, leave us a comment below. Tell me what you think of this 68 Barracuda. It's looking pretty good. Peace.